This will never go away. Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Behind the Blue Lens. I'm your host, Nancy Reardon, and I'm joined by my co-host,
Lieutenant Joe Aiello.
How are you?
All right, not too bad.
Good.
Doing all right.
We have a good show today.
We do. We have a great show, actually.
Very intense. We've been actually, this show has been a long while in the making, and
Yes.
to get everyone together, you know, with their schedules and everything,
Sure.
it's been a little tough. So we're finally here, finally doing it, and
But it was an important topic, and we definitely wanted
very important topic.
to
So
get this done.
there's been a stigma, always been a stigma, that if you have a mental health issue, that nobody wants to go near you. They think you're like, I don't know, diseased or something, and so not the case. And a lot of us carry a lot of things with us, and you know, that we don't want to talk about. We try to find someone to talk to about it, and so this is what our show is about today. So why don't you add a little to it?
We want to break that stigma in general, just for the public in general, but the stigma is really difficult when we're talking about first responders.
Especially first responders.
Because they just don't want to admit that they have the problem if they are going through something of distress in their life, you know, in regards to mental illness or just any type of stress in general. I mean, they think, you know, we put these uniforms on, but we're not Superman, right?
Right,
So,
and it's not bulletproof.
exactly.
Well, it is, but you're not bulletproof.
No.
Meaning that things hit you. And,
Exactly.
The
things that we see.
Right, because you guys are the first ones to see traumas, tragic accidents.
Many times.
Many times, over and over. So I want to introduce you to our guests. They can introduce themselves.
Thanks for having us, Lieutenant Jim Gunter.
Thank you for being here.
No, really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Christine Nicolosi.
Officer Christine Nicolosi.
Yep.
Dispatcher.
Dispatcher Karen Kay.
And so, Lieutenant, tell me what group you are. No, I don't want to say group.
Right. Yep. So we're in the process right now. We recently started a peer support unit at Methuen PD, and eventually we started the training. And there's some intense training for that. And eventually we're going to hopefully join a regional CISM team, which is Critical Incident Stress Management. And like Lieutenant Aiello said, that you know, people think that we put this uniform on and that we're sometimes robots or computers, and that, you know, we're void of emotions, we're void of feelings. And, you know, I think that there's a change, and I've seen it over the last few years, where the mental wellness and mental health of first responders is really starting to hit the forefront. And we are starting to slowly lose that stigma, because, you know, they've both been on for a while, I've been on for a while, and, you know, when we got on, you answered your calls, the dispatchers, you know, those are the first forefront of the serious incidents and the calls. They take the calls, and they're often forgot about. So we've included them with the training and with this, the team we're putting together. Christine's been on for a while, Officer Nicolosi. And basically when we went to critical incidents, we would just go to the call, and if we had time, we'd do the report, and then we'd go to our next call. Sometimes you go to that critical incident and not even get to do the report for that critical incident when they're sending you on another call. So we've learned that that's not the best way to handle things, and that we need to take better care of the dispatchers, the officers, you know, that we're dealing with. So we started the training. We got a grant last fall from the Department of Justice, COPS grant for mental wellness and for the first responders, which included the dispatcher. So we've already started that training. We're going to be doing another, it's a 2-year grant, so we got some trainings that are coming up, very intense trainings, but the officers that have volunteered to join this team are committed to making the place better. As people know, I'm not going to give you statistics. I looked up some statistics, but they change all the time. And, you know, somebody could say, hey, this study says one thing, this one says another. But the bottom line is most first responders, they're higher suicide rates, higher substance abuse rates, the alcohol, you know, divorce rates. So, you know, it's based on, you know, the job. So the job itself is tough. And you're seeing more and more officers reaching out for help, reaching out for the mental health aspect of it. I'm in therapy myself. If I told you I was in therapy years ago, they'd probably be looking to take me off the job and say, hey, you're not fit to do the job. But we all know now that we're human beings too. We have feelings, and we need to address our issues, and we all have issues. And so I think we're doing a lot better. The city of Methuen is doing a better job. The police department is doing a better job. So we're heading in the right direction there, and I think that we have the right officers that are part of this team that can go forward and reduce the stigma, and as we go forward, come up with better ways to address the mental health of our first responders.
So thank you very much for that, and I can only imagine. Karen, you as a dispatcher, as well as your peers, you get the first call.
Correct.
How do you handle that first call, a traumatic call?
Well, you kind of compose yourself, because on the other end, you're not sure what you're dealing with.
Right.
So throughout the years, with the years of experience, I mean, you know what to ask, you know what to say, try to calm them down as best as you can, and advise them, like assure them that help is on the way, that we're here for them.
And do you stay on the phone with them until help arrives?
Most of the calls, yes, I do, till my officers get there, and then I'll usually ask the caller, do you feel safe if staying on the line with me, or would you like to disconnect? Sometimes, depending on what the call is, they like to stay on the call till the officers get there, because they are afraid, because they're not sure what's going on in the background.
Right.
But normally I stay on especially a critical call like that, I like to stay on the line with them till I know my officer's there and that person's safe.
And how do you decompress after that?
It's difficult.
Yeah.
I take a deep breath. I'm lucky I could reach out to Lieutenant Gunter, who has helped me through certain calls that I've gone through,
right,
as well as the SISM team. I mean, I've been debriefed before, and honestly, it did help me a lot.
So
here I am now, want to be part of this group so I can help others.
And I was just going to ask you, how many of you are there in this team?
Right now there's 9. We're hoping to get a 10th eventually, but we have 9 officers on the unit. It's important that she says the debrief. She talked about a debrief when you critical incidents. And first, I'd like to point out that we have very professional dispatchers. When they call, they handle the critical incident calls just as well as they handle the routine calls, we call them, you know, because they're trained and they do their job. And that's what we all revert back to, is you revert back to your training during these critical incidents or high stress situations. So that's why we train, and that's why we continue to train. The debriefing part of it, we've had several critical incidents over the last few years where, so that's where we're attaining to try to join the regional team once we get trained, and so we can assist other departments as well. Because for a debrief, and if we have a critical incident here in Methuen, we don't want to have our team members debrief our members, because it's just not the way the system works. So we'll call outside agency or the outside regional team, and they'll send officers from other departments, or retirees will get involved. They'll come with the specific training to do the debrief. They know specific questions to ask. And for the most part, I think at most of the debriefings we've had, everybody that attends the debriefing speaks up, and they're able to get stuff off their chest. And I think that that's important, to not hold it in. And I think that anybody in life, human beings, no matter what you do for work, you have to decompress. You have to de-stress. We're all human beings, and we all have to take care of ourselves. So I've learned that the hard way.
No, I just wanted to just reiterate what the lieutenant said as far as from the dispatcher's point. The dispatchers in general have training in the types of calls that we're talking about, people that are in distress, people that are suffering from mental illness that are reaching out for us. Obviously, Karen has a little bit extra training being part of this unit, but they all have to go through some type of training that allows them to know what to say over the phone. There's been times when myself and Lieutenant Gunther, I'm sure, being the officers in charge of the station where the calls come in, so we're sitting right next to them, or walking in there to hear what's going on. And there's been times where, where an officer might be there and wants to take over the call, but you're listening to the dispatcher, having that rapport with that person. And I've had one call that I remember that was just incredible. This person was driving. We were trying to ping the phone, someone that was suicidal, and the dispatcher actually led this person from, I believe, the Haverhill area. For whatever reason, they may have resided in Methuen, so they were on the phone with us, and led them right into the hospital parking lot where we were there waiting for them.
Oh, wow.
And this was over the course of several minutes. She did an outstanding job, and we just keep going, just keep
Kept
going.
Her calm and just
just keep that rapport, keep that conversation going to where she basically delivered that person to the officers waiting there for them. And it was someone that was suicidal that we were really worried about. So I just can't say enough about the dispatchers.
That's amazing.
And the officers, but I'm just saying they have to do it.
They're the first ones.
They're doing it on the phone, and they do an incredible job.
Wow, that gave me goosebumps. Officer Nicolosi, why did you join this team?
I've been on probably the longest sitting here, so I've seen a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And in the past, we used to just, like he said, the lieutenant said, we just go to the next call. Nobody really cared. We just buried it. I was on the stress team for years and nothing was ever done. And I always enforced that we need to take care of each other.
Right.
But for some reason, we were forgotten.
Yeah.
You know, they just considered us as a machine and go to the next call.
Yeah, like Lieutenant said, if he had said that he had that issue 10
Oh, no,
years
there
ago.
would have been an issue.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff gets buried into your mind. So through my experience, I feel that I can help someone else
Yeah.
out.
How do you help yourself?
It's tough. I have the dog, so when there's a bad day, I take the
get
dog
hugs
for a
and kisses.
walk.
Yeah.
Or I usually reach out to my sister. My
Right.
sister's my go-to. We've recently had some bad incidents, and thank God for the lieutenant putting the unit into effect, because in the past nothing would have ever been done. And I feel that it's the new way of policing that's going. These guys have a lot of different stress as far as the public is
Yeah.
going on, and a lot of stuff, you don't need to take it home.
No.
Yeah, it's just we're taking way too much stuff home, and it in turn it turns into alcoholism, divorce, and everything else that goes with it.
That's where I want to go next, because of your issues, and you're not private about it. You let people know.
Yep.
Because of your issues in the past, is this one of the reasons why you wanted to bring this team to
yeah,
light?
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I wanted to help people out, and it was my passion to once I'll just let you know that I'm in recovery for alcoholism and
Right.
food addiction.
Right.
I let life, the job, everything get to me, and I drank way too much and almost lost everything that I've worked so hard to get.
Your wife, your family?
Wife, family,
Yeah.
Luckily I was functioning, able to function, but I wouldn't have lasted much longer at the rate I was going. And I know that in this job, there's going to be officers that, that
Reach a breaking point.
yeah, that you
Yeah.
get to a point where you don't think that alcohol's going to get a hold of you. You don't think that the food's going to get a hold of you, but it does. It catches up to you. And like Christine said, she's been on. And I have to say that when I got on, she was my training officer, and it's amazing.
So I've been on for a while.
It's amazing the career she's had. So
Yeah.
but.
She's pretty okay.
But so I do have a passion with that because of what happened to me. I don't want the officers to have to go through that. So I talked to the officer and let him know I was in shape. I was very motivated. I was, to me, I was on the top of my game, and there was no way that at some point I was going to allow alcohol or food control me. Well, I can tell you this, alcohol controlled me for several years, and I got to be over 300 pounds, and Nancy, you've taken several pictures of me when I was that heavy, and and
I knew there was something wrong.
yeah, a lot of
But
people
who
did.
am I to
A
say it
lot
to
of
you?
people knew that there was something wrong,
Yeah.
but you know what they said to me after I lost the weight and after I got healthy again? They said, I was almost going to say something to you. I almost was going to say something. And that's the thing, we gotta
This is where it's
Help
changed
out.
though now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
with him incorporating what's going on in the department, if we feel something's wrong, we either go to him, the lieutenant, and say, listen, something's not right with this person. Because, we work all together, and we
Yeah.
can tell when somebody's off. So then the lieutenant will reach out to him. So it's officer to officer.
Right.
There's no outside coming in saying it's a cop talking to another cop, which is very comfortable.
What was it that gave you that slap upside the head that made you say, I need to
I had
stop?
some personal stuff in my life. My mom passed away at
Right.
65 from not taking care of herself, from
Right.
diabetes, and she lost a leg before she passed because of not taking care of herself. My brother died from complications of a drug addiction. He had blood clots, and it wound up killing him at 40 years old. So I've had some stuff in my life that showed that if I don't take care of myself, I'm going to wind up like everybody else in my family and die young. And we work hard. All of us work hard, no matter what we do for work. But in this career, we really work hard to try to, get through to get a pension, and that's what. But if you're not healthy, what's the purpose, And when you're healthy and when you're at your best, you can provide better for the people around you. So if we have a healthy police officer, they're more apt to do a better job for the city of Methuen and for the residents. So, I see a lot of people starting to pick up and see that your health does mean something, but you can't sit around and wait for it to happen. You got to make sure it happens.
You have to make it happen.
You have to make it happen, yes.
So you work nights, third shift.
Yes.
And what shift is busier?
Anything can happen at any time.
Anytime. So in your shift, do you see officers come in from a call that need help, and would you refer them to anyone in this team?
We have. We've had some calls where, oh God, from my aspect, it's a little bit different now, right? Because I'm sitting at the desk.
Right.
So I can hear the distress on the radio. Right. So it's tough for me because I'm worried about them. So there was one, I just vividly remember one that I'm sure the lieutenant remembers because he was able to get a team in there for us shortly after the shift was over. This call lasted forever. It was a homicide, and the officers were right there. And at one point we thought, the shooter was right there. I was in fear for the officers at this point, right? So, but what happened was I was able to contact Lieutenant Gunter, and as I mentioned, he got that team in, and we did a debriefing that morning. And then the other thing I was thinking to myself was, all right, who am I missing? Who am I missing? And then I remember, well, not only am I in the station going through what I knew I went through. Now I wasn't out in the field, and so they, I was worried about them, the officers and the sergeants that were out there. But then I'm thinking, wait a minute, am I missing anybody? And then I remember the dispatchers, because they were in on that call. So they, what they feel for those officers too, because they're giving those calls out. They're on the other line hearing the distress of the family calling in the shooting that was going on. So again, I just can't say enough about the team. Lieutenant Gunter's resources, his team, the team that comes, as he mentioned, if it happens within our department, there's an outside team that'll come in and help us out. And I just can't say enough about them.
So that's wonderful. I'm still going back to you guys getting the first calls, and I could never do your job, never, ever, ever, because I would want to leave and go to that house and
Well, she's waiting on us to come over the air.
Right.
She's waiting to hear our voice.
Come over the air, yeah.
And they're just kind of same as him. He's just waiting. It's a waiting game. You know what you sent us to, and it's a waiting game.
And think about this: while the dispatchers are on the phone with a 911 caller, sometimes the other dispatcher's on the phone with another 911 caller. The business line's ringing. But they have to pay attention to the radio as well, so they're multitasking. So they're, it's a very busy and stressful job. And
you can let that business call go.
Yeah, absolutely. But they're trained on how to handle those situations. But I'm just saying it's sometimes the dispatchers, they could have sometimes a more chaotic hour in that dispatch room than the officers on the street sometimes. So it just depends on how the day goes. But we're a very, very busy city and very busy police department.
Worst call. What is the worst call that you've had to? All right, we'll do a scenario. Christine goes on a call. It's a child. All right, that's the worst. And something bad happens. Christine's crying. Right. I'm sure you guys have cried right where you were.
Oh yeah.
You're human. How do you? She's out there. She can't move. She's shocked.
Yeah,
we'll out there and grab her.
We'll bring her back. We'll bring her back, and we'll sit her down and talk to her. We'll just remove her. You treat them where they are. So. Christine's handled a lot of serious critical incidents in her career, and but if she's having an issue with that, we'll bring her back, and any officer will.
Sure, it's been done.
What happens? It brings back old memories, other traumas that we've stored away, and we just kind of have never dealt with it.
Right, and we've after say she handles a critical incident, and it's affecting her to a point where we'll have another officer take the report, and we might even send her home or send her to check on her. But we're not going to we definitely don't just say, hey, Christine, suck it up and go to the next call.
In the past, has that happened?
In the past,
yes.
In the past, there was no such thing as us not being able to deal with the calls. That's just what we did. You did your job and you moved on.
Because it considers you weak.
It did, yeah.
Before, but
before.
Not now.
Personally,
not now. No.
Yeah.
It's changed. Everything's it's starting to make officers. It's better for the officer now because they're able to speak and not worry about my job is jeopardy and everything else.
Yeah.
And
there's always that little door in our brain where we store all this stuff. Then when something else happens,
it comes back.
It all comes flooding out. So then you have to put it in that, you know what I'm saying, put it in that room and close it for the next time. These are going to be hard questions, but I want to ask them. Worst call that you've gotten on, had to take, and still is out in that space in your brain? No names, of course.
Yeah,
just,
no, I don't even. I'd have to think about it, but
Yeah.
I haven't been on the streets in many years.
Right.
But there's several of them, but I can't pinpoint any right now for
Yeah.
myself. So I
Days in, a baby dying.
Oh, I remember that. That hit you hard because you have little nieces and nephews.
The worst part was how somebody could take a baby and stuff it behind a toilet.
Yeah.
So what help we got that day was this. Thank God
How long ago was that?
That was a while ago.
I remember it. I just can't remember how long ago.
Thank God that I had a dog,
Yeah.
you know, and some of the guys checked on me on the shift because I took the dog, and, you know, it's a combination of everything. In the room when I'm handling, I actually pushed the firefighters out that had kids, and I went in because I don't have any children, so I went in and I viewed where the baby was. Anger, the tears of anger started because the woman went to the hospital and didn't even care, and it wasn't a typical person that was having a child, so it's a memory that.
You ask. I can't.
No, I mean, there's as the lieutenant and Officer Nicolosi and Dispatcher Karen Kay just mentioned, the teams are out there now. We had a town next to us had a homicide last year where a child was killed, part of the whole unfortunate situation, and we were worried about the kids at that particular school, right? Yeah. So we brought in a team of counselors that we actually have on a regional team, which is part of our NEMLEC community, which we, you know, it's again, for those that don't know, NEMLEC is just regional officers and firefighters and whatnot, first responders. And this particular team involving NEMLEC has social workers and psychologists from the school side, plays a big part. And what we found out was when we went to that school that day, there was officers that responded to that call, but they knew that inside that school, there was a team that is used to working with police officers.
Right.
We found these officers from that community coming to see those specialists that day because of what they actually saw. And it was their way of decompressing. They felt comfortable because they knew there was other police officers there as well,
right.
because we were there. Again, when this team responds, it's police, fire, school psychologists are there with us. We're all together. We train on a monthly basis. We're on call. And as I mentioned, the officers that responded that night saw what they saw. It's not something that as long as we have been doing this job, you never get used to going to those types of calls. Again, 3 people died that night, and one of them happened to be a child. And those officers needed some help, and they came and sought the help, and we're happy for it.
It's good once you get it out and you talk amongst each other. I mean, it's nice to release it. You release it because it's been stored away for so long. When we were doing our training through CISM, we all had to sit together and think of what was the worst thing that we did, you know, like that we came across. And that one always stuck in my brain.
Right.
But the shock of telling someone else who's on a team too is looking at you like, you know, back then it was just like the stigma. But now it's so good that we are addressing these issues. So officers can actually talk about it, have feelings about it, and not worry about...
And it makes you feel like...
Well, not worry about what's going to happen. Is their job in jeopardy? Because I think that's the number one thing is, am I going to lose my job if I say something that affected me? We're just human.
Of course. Did that happen years ago, that people would lose their jobs because of it?
No, I wouldn't say they'd lose their jobs, but people were afraid to ask for if they were hurt, if they had a problem. You know, like I didn't ask for help when I was an alcoholic because I was, you know, I was worried and I was functioning. But you know, for the mental health part of it, or you know, nowadays we do have people that come and say, hey, listen, I'm just having a rough day, you know, and it's like after that call, you know, and then, you know, we pay attention more too. We actually have a program called Frontline where we track officers that go on the calls, and it's based on what kind of call it is, and if they go to so many calls within a certain amount of time, then that'll flag us to, hey, let's check in and make sure we're doing like a person check, well-being check, and just say, hey, listen, you've been to a few calls lately, how you doing? And just checking in on each other, which really wasn't done in the past. You know, we just didn't do it. So,
It's changed since he's taken over. He's done a great job.
You're a great motivational speaker too.
Chief McNamara is very supportive, so we're very lucky right now that this is the timing of this is just it couldn't have been better. And you know, I appreciate that. I feel like that people that know me, that know what I've been through, can understand that why I have a passion for this and why I want to do what I can to help out. I'll help out anybody that needs help, but I'm very passionate about the people that work at the Methuen Police Department.
Of course.
And I think that, you know,
I think they like you too.
well, I hope so.
I know they do.
I hope so, but it's just trying to create a better work environment for us,
of course.
because it's stressful enough.
Yeah.
Just putting this uniform on has proven that our cortisol levels rise just when you throw the uniform on.
Yeah.
And for people that don't know what the cortisol is, we get the muffin tops from sitting in the cruisers, and the cortisol dumps from the adrenaline all day up, and it could be the donuts too, but...
oh, stop. I don't think I've ever seen a police officer eat a donut.
That's good.
That's good. I really don't.
There was a bunch of them at the station today, several dozen.
Yeah.
But that was because somebody dropped them off for us.
I know.
I don't think we bought them ourselves. But no, it's so seriously, it's like if I could equate this, I try to tell this was taught to me many years ago, and it means something. It's like we all as human beings we carry around a backpack with us.
Yeah.
And every time we stress out or we deal with something, critical incident, something at work, something at home, especially for us that go to these critical incidents on a regular basis, the officers, the dispatchers that take the calls, it's like putting a 5-pound weight in a backpack. Now, when you first put that 5-pound weight in your backpack and you're walking around with it, it's not that heavy. But after 2 or 3 critical incidents in a week, 3 or 4 more next week, in a month, in a year, that backpack's going to get heavy if you don't do something to take the weight off of your shoulders and out of your mind. So that's why we're trying to develop positive coping skills. You know, instead of, you know, you have a rough day at work, what does most people want to do? They want to go home and relax. So how do you relax? You make a stiff one, or you know, you do what you eat to feel better. You know, instead of maybe you should go for a walk, you should, you know, spend some time with family, loved ones. So different ways to decompress, you know, and do them healthier ways versus the, you know, unhealthy ways. So I really think that, you know, like I said, I think the timing's great. We have great support from the department in the city, so I think we're heading in the right direction. And I'd love to touch back with you maybe a year or so from now and let you know how good the program is moved along. When did you start? When did it come into fruition? When did you guys start? Well, we've had an informal type of peer support unit for years, and Christine's been calling me for years, and you know, because she knows of my passion, and she's like, hey, like, can you reach out to so and so? Maybe you could even just listen. Sometimes you just need to listen. That's all. You know, you don't need to try to solve the problems.
It's a trust thing. We trust him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to have trust. Yeah, we trust. We trust him.
I trust him.
I want people to trust the system that we're putting together here. You know, because I'm not going to be here forever. They're not going to be together. So we need to make sure as we're putting this together, that we're putting it together so that everybody feels comfortable. And that's why we have a lot of members on the team. You may not feel comfortable talking to me. You may want to call her. If you don't want to comfortable talking to her, you may want to talk to them. So it's more people that you can reach out to and just know that there's people there that are willing to listen and be there for you. So
Kim, thank you so much for that. And like I said, you are a wonderful motivational person.
No, I appreciate it.
Karen, if you have younger dispatchers, and if you see them getting a critical call like that, like a new dispatcher or whatever, who's only been on the job for a couple of years, do you stand by them and listen and make sure? I do.
Because I have the ability to jump on their call and be there and listen. Just to ask the right questions. Right. Like, did you ask this or did you ask that? Or I'll ask them this, you know. And always tell them, keep them calm on the line. You know, I'm here. It's just, you know, confirm that, you know. Like, what I want to say, like, it just, like, you want to make sure, like, you have the caller, like, calm instead of versus a hysterical caller on the line.
Right.
You know, you want to try to get, but sometimes with the younger generation, you know, they don't know what to ask. So that's why it's always good, like, throughout the years of experience, like, you can be there for them and listen and help them out throughout a critical call.
Notice you said the younger generation.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. I totally get it. I heard someone say today the word like over and over and over again. Like I went here, like I went, whatever. But anyways, what is that call? I asked Christine, I asked Lieutenant, what is a call that sticks with you?
Honestly, Nance, I've dealt with a lot. The most recent one would be a suicide that really was like in the back of my mind for a while. It did bother me.
Yeah.
And till this day, it's still in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
But as I reached out to Lieutenant Gunter, and you know, he brought in the CISM team for me, and I talked to them, and kind of they guided me through the process. So I was able to be open and talk about my experience and what I felt like the day that I took that call.
Does that help you guys when you talk about it, let it go?
Yes.
The
Keeping
debriefing,
things
yes, it
in,
does.
I let everything out. My husband's my sounding board, but whatever.
And one other thing that I do want to add to that, Nancy, is after the debriefing part as well, Lieutenant Gunter's pretty good about it. He'll call you the next day, like, hey, are you okay? Do you need anything? He'll check up on us, whether it's by phone or in person.
Yeah.
So grateful for that, too.
Oh, kudos to you. That's awesome. Do you guys talk to each other, obviously?
Christine
We
and I
work
like
the
to work
same shift.
together.
We work the same shift.
Oh, right. That's right.
Yeah.
You work for days, right?
I'm on days too,
Yeah.
yes.
Now, what do you, are you community policing?
Yes, yep.
So we're going to have an ice cream truck soon.
Yes, we are.
Think
Yes,
of a
we are.
good name.
I said Blue Freeze, but nobody liked it, but whatever.
I like it.
That's pretty good.
But,
Yeah, that is pretty good.
Looking forward to it. That's another thing that I think helps the community, like get involved with you and know that you are people. You do eat ice cream.
Yep. Yeah,
I love ice cream.
No, the citizens like ice cream. If I could just say too, is like talking about mental health, and that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
We're dealing with mental health calls at an all-time high. I'd say what 25% of our calls are all
Yeah.
mental health
Yeah.
related. So, and
It's
you know,
scary,
so
kind of.
it's all police officers are taking on a lot of responsibility and a lot of hats. And
Yeah.
what is good about it is we have a really good department. We have a good
Yeah.
department that wants to do the right thing and give the best service to the citizens. But the way to do that is to make sure we're taking care of ourselves and taking care of each other to the
Yeah.
best of our abilities.
You
Like
can't
I said,
take care of us unless you take care of
Exactly.
yourself first.
and I tell everyone that the only way you can you give your best self to anyone else outside of you is to be the best version of yourself for
Yeah.
yourself. So it's easy to say, but you know we got to make a commitment to try to do that and be better
Yeah.
for each other. So
Well, I'm going to tell you something real short and sweet. During COVID, I lost my job. I had a part-time job, and I lost my job. And my husband was working, my daughter was working, son-in-law was working, son was working, his wife was working. Nancy's home alone with her dogs. I'm fine, my dogs, la la la. My dog got sick. I had to put my dog down. I was home alone, like literally not talking to anybody because nobody was around. And let me tell you, I spent some days at home. I'm like, I'm all alone. Who can I talk to? Told my husband, I'm getting another dog. No, you're not. Yes, I am. So he took me to get another dog. I was fine after that.
We actually use comfort dogs.
Yeah.
They're actually part of our team. There's several departments that
Yeah.
actually have them now, and we'll bring them into those type of crisis,
Oh, if I knew.
those type of crisis type incidents.
Yeah.
Whether it be the schools, like the day that I told you we went into that school.
Yeah.
We actually had Tewksbury's comfort dog with us.
Oh, that's. No, but the one has them. I don't mean to interrupt you.
We don't have a comfort dog.
The
Cover
school
dog.
system, they said they have something now. The public
some of
schools?
some of the schools do,
Yeah.
but there are police officers that are actually departments that do have comfort dogs. Now we actually have, I believe, 3 or 4 that are assigned to the
Lawrence
Numlex,
has one as well.
Numlex
Yeah.
stars, yeah. And they're just they're great to bring into situations like this.
Yeah.
As far as
Especially
what
with children
sure.
involved.
yeah, especially with
yeah.
kids,
Yep.
especially with kids, but even the adults.
Yeah.
But as far as the training goes, as the lieutenant mentioned, the statistics that he just mentioned for our department is the same nationally. I mean, I teach the course at the academy level, and what the push is nationally is to actually get more training at the academy level when the recruits are going through. Currently, the one that I've seen through the research, the state that has really taken it to another level is Texas. They mandate 40 hours of training, which isn't enough to begin with, and they'll
Yeah.
even tell you that. But in Massachusetts, it's 2 days. The one thing that stuck out stuck out to me when I was listening to one of the directors that was teaching the class from Texas. He said that recruits will spend a week to 2 weeks on the range firing their guns, because it's a tool that we have to use, unfortunately, or have with us. Hopefully we never have to use them. And he pointed out that in most officers' careers, they will never have to use their firearm.
Which is a good thing.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But look at all the training we get in that, which is fine. But for mental illness, for the calls that we go on to try to help people that are suffering from mental illness, we really do not have anywhere close to the training from the recruit level all the way through, even in service, and there needs to be a bigger push to help officers with that training, so we could not only help ourselves, but do a better job of helping other people.
So if you got a call for a mental health person, I don't know what you said, somebody who, if you go on a mental health call, and that person has a weapon, you don't draw your weapons, do you? I mean, they say they have a knife or whatever.
We have to protect ourselves.
We still have to.
Yeah, we still
Right.
protect
In some
ourselves.
cases.
Yeah.
Because they could hurt us.
We
So-
try to
Yeah.
de-escalate through talking to them, to tell them
Sure.
to drop the weapon and walk towards us, and you're there to try to get them to the facility where they can be treated, but you
Right.
still have to try to be safe.
Yeah.
So there has been situations where you went on a mental call and forces had to been used. They've had to been tased or something like that, taken
Yeah.
into custody to be brought to the hospital. So we do have to use force sometimes on mental health calls. We prefer not to, but that's why we do train in de-escalation and trying to talk somebody,
Yeah, that gets
to
your
calm them down.
adrenaline and
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
scary. See, I could never.
Yeah, we
I
try to
could
talk
never.
them into going voluntarily, which most of the
Yeah.
time they do. But we do have a statute under Massachusetts general law, which everyone refers to it as Section 12, which, as the lieutenant mentioned, it allows us, if we have to, which we don't, but if we have to go hands-on to get this person into a safe place, meaning the hospital, then we can. The state allows us to do that through Massachusetts general laws.
Right.
That particular general law.
After you have a call and you've talked to each other or your team, what do you do when you go home?
Don't talk about it.
No, I know.
That's what I usually do,
Yeah,
but,
don't talk about it.
which is probably
It's
not
better
good.
talking to your
It's better
team.
talking to someone.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's what's key about us, talking to the officers at the debriefs, and they bring it up at the debriefings from
Yeah.
critical incidents, because each critical incident is so unique that the only person that's part of the debrief are the officers, dispatchers, and supervisors that were on scene or part of the calls.
Okay.
So I can't walk into a debrief if I wasn't involved in it.
No, of
so
course
it's part
not.
of that.
Yeah.
So, and then what they do is they tell them, don't go home and drink. Don't go home and
Yeah.
go crazy. Don't think about this all night. Go home. Go for a walk. Go to the gym. Do something to take your mind off it. Be with family.
Yeah.
But don't
Don't be alone.
don't be
Yeah.
alone. And,
Yeah.
if you're really upset, and definitely don't go home and drink if you're
No,
that-
I have
that's
my
just not the-
dogs, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
But we try to tell people
love
that you
our
have
dogs.
to have passions. You have to find
Yeah.
something outside of work. No matter what you do for work, you have to separate yourself from work
Yeah.
and do other things. So when you get home after a debrief or critical incident, try to pull a couple of the positive coping mechanisms
Yeah.
out of your toolbox and use them if you have to.
Yeah, like-
Some people, I know that the younger officers, sometimes I've noticed that, and I'm not saying that that's just because it's a younger generation, because I know when I was a
Yeah.
younger officer too, I wouldn't think that I would need to go to a debrief. Hey, you know what? This is
I'm
my
cool.
job.
Yeah.
And I know that there's some officers that don't think that they need this. Well, having numerous officers that have been around for a long time in numerous critical incidents and know what it does to you over
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
That's why it's very important that we let these younger officers know you don't wait. You don't wait till you need it.
Yeah.
Till you feel you need it to take care of yourself or do these debriefings. Take care of yourself as you go along, and it makes it so much easier.
Yeah, and like in Karen's case, Disney and shopping would be her go-to.
Yeah, Karen would be shopping.
You got to have.
Yeah.
We know her
We
well.
say
Yeah.
her positive coping mechanisms. That sounds pretty
That's her
positive to me.
positive
Yeah, that's her
coping.
positive.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is going to be another tough question, and I'm probably going to cry again. I didn't cry really. So you have an officer in your department who had a major incident in their own family, and they came upon it. What do you do for them? Same thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would offer them all the services that we could possibly offer them, and depending on how bad the situation is,
Yeah.
definitely. we would have them speak to, you know, a counselor, a professional, and see what they would need past that.
Yeah.
We've had officers that, you know, after a critical incident need to take a week or two for themselves and do some treatment, you know, and then that's okay.
It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's definitely okay. Yeah. Like I said, it's nice that we're finally getting rid of the stigma where, hey, we are human beings, and like I think Christine said it, just because we put this uniform on, we're not robots, we're not perfect. Yeah. Just because we put the uniform on, we don't stop having emotions, we don't stop having feelings. We're trained, they do their jobs, they do a great job while they do it, but we got to take care of them afterwards. Yeah.
See, I've known Christine, like I knew Christine before I knew her. And I always said, you know, that girl is tiny, but I don't want to get into a hassle with her. She will kick my butt. Like, and I just see you driving around, and I've seen you walk or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going near her. I'm like twice her size, but. Well,
yeah. When you sometimes when the way you sometimes the command presence, in and of itself, will de-escalate a situation.
Being a female, you have to have command presence.
That facade of.
Well, they expect you that you're the weaker sex.
Yeah.
So when you step into a situation, you have to take control very quick.
Yeah, like the other girls that were women who work on the police force. Yeah, no. Yeah, but I think they would be more mean, not mean, but more tougher than, you know, a male officer.
Yeah, but sometimes it works in our favor too, because then sometimes if we're in a bad situation, somebody would rather talk to us than talk to the guys.
Than talk to a guy, yeah.
So it goes both ways.
Is this true with men and women?
Sometimes they don't even want to, sometimes they won't want to talk to a woman because if there was a bad domestic or something, they'll talk to one of the guys because they think they understand better.
You mean?
Like if there was a bad domestic and the male wants to talk to one of the guys because
he thinks we'll understand better.
He thinks that I'm in favor with the female, so
and the guy probably has scratch marks all over his face, right?
But
it goes both ways.
No, it does go both ways. There are certain calls where I'll be like, okay, we have a female on duty, great, I'm going to, depending on this particular call, depending on, you know, the victim, the child or whoever, I may call that female officer in, and it's just a comfort having, and then, but I don't want to sell Christine short, but I know when she's on one of our calls and she has her partner with her as well, we're in good hands because she's a phenomenal handler for the canine as well. So, because sometimes I have to call her at 3 in the morning and come out and help us.
Which I'm half asleep and like, I'm like, where am I going?
Sounds like Christine told me things like that. So, they called me at 4 o'clock. I was sleeping.
But I know when she's on her way, we're going to be okay.
Yeah. Well, her partner's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he needs a shave, but that's all right.
He's good.
He's a good boy. So I'm so glad that you have this team, and you seem so much happier with this team. And like
he's just happier.
No, he's just happy because he lost weight, and I found it.
He's happy. He's happy that
you know what happiness is where you are. So it's like it's an emotion that you create.
Yeah, of course.
You know, when you wait for it to come to you, sometimes it's going to be a long wait. Yeah. You know, so
I try to be happy all the time, but I'm witchy sometimes. Ask Chris, he'll tell you. So the other thing, so you deal with this, and you're human, and we know you're human. Some people might not think so, but you are, and you have your emotional days, and I just got goosebumps thinking about the stuff you guys see. So you have to deal with little children at times. Do you guys still give them little stuffed animals?
Yeah,
I don't know why people call them stuffed
animals. A lot of the
animals.
trunks have the stuffed animals in them. Yeah, we actually have people, organizations, individual people that will donate.
Just going to go there.
Yep, that donate stuff to the PD for us to give out to the children. And then we also, National Night Out or any other time, the officers will go around, and most of the officers have stuff in the cruisers. And
I carry like stickers, and I have like little coloring things.
Yeah. And we're very proactive when it comes to wanting to reach out to the children.
So I've seen on like Facebook, a lot of people ask, where can we donate stuffed animals? So as long as they're clean and whatever, you guys will accept them?
Yeah, sure. All right. Absolutely.
Yeah, I wanted people to know that. I've said that before, that they take them off. Or St. Anne's, but I don't know if St. Anne's can take a lot of things, but definitely donate them to you because they do go to a good home.
Yes, absolutely.
In closing, what do you guys want to say? We'll start with Karen.
Thank you for having us.
So much.
No, thank you for having us. I mean, like I said, I'm glad to be part of this team, and I'm ready to move forward and be able to be out there and help all this.
if before Christine, if one of the dispatchers wanted to reach out, can they reach out to you or anyone on the team?
Anyone.
Yeah.
But they may understand more, like with Karen, because what Karen's dealing with, as far as like an officer's dealing with, but they can reach out to any of us.
Yeah, and the younger officers, and I thought of more questions, I'm sorry. So the younger officers, are they more hesitant or more forward coming to you?
Half and half, I think, yeah.
Yeah, the bottom line is we're only 3 of we have 9 total, and we have younger officers that's part of the team. We have other dispatchers, so I think that we have a very good mix. And the younger, I try to speak to all the officers and let them know. And I think that if they know that they can reach out to any one of us, I think that's a good thing.
And they have, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So when a younger officer, I just realized we have like 10 more minutes. I was going to conclude. If you know that a younger officer has gone on a not so good call, like a call you know that would bother you, do they come to you or do you approach them?
I will reach out to them if I know it's a call.
Even though they're not coming to you.
Yeah. I will reach out to that officer, or they've called me and said, hey,
I've called them a few times.
And Karen's called me as well and said, hey, can you give so and so a call?
Yeah.
They had a tough call today. Not to the level of a debriefing.
But just to check.
Check on them, make sure they're all right. Let them know that, hey, if you need something, let us know. And there's these services. And,
it's nice to know somebody cares.
And
and they're appreciative of it, I'm sure.
Yes.
And will you tell them, Christine, Officer Nicolosi, wanted me to just reach out to you, or do you not say who called?
No, I don't really say the names of anybody that will ask me to reach out to somebody. Just say, hey, I heard that you were on a call, and just check in to see how you're doing. And Christine is good with Karen too. I meant Christine's called and said, hey, I spoke to so and so. If you want to reach out, go ahead. But they seem to be doing okay.
Right.
So no, we're in constant communication. And if the good thing about it is, if we feel an officer does need to be addressed for anything, let's just say let's get right to the point. If somebody says, hey, we think so and so's drinking too much.
Yeah.
We'll confront them and say, hey, listen, there's resources, there's help, and you don't have to live like that if that's the way you're living, And sometimes I will tell you this, I went many years as an alcoholic and probably wouldn't have been too keen to being reached out and asked for help, until I was ready, because you have to be ready. But sometimes if somebody does reach out, it gives you those hints, because I've had officers here. He's retired now, but I'll give him a lot of credit. Jack Walsh. He kept.
I remember him.
He kept talking to me and telling me, hey, there's better life out there. There's better life, because he knew that I had a drinking problem, and I kind of talked to him here and there, and he was kind of like a peer support person for me for a while, and he helped me get through some stuff, and there's other people there too.
Yeah.
So it's just the bottom line is to know that people have been through it there, especially for the younger officers. People have been through it, and for us to tell you that if you don't take care of yourself, because you're in great shape now, you just got out of the academy, if you don't take care of yourself and continue to take care of yourself, this job, and like I said, anybody's job, it depends on, it's all how you react to it, but especially this job can get to you quick. So you gotta stay on top of your mental wellness, which for me, it's your mind, your body, and your spirit.
Yeah.
You have to take care of all 3 of those, and whatever that means for you.
You had said in the beginning there was a high rate of divorce.
For
alcoholism,
us.
Suicide.
I didn't even say it, because our life expectancy is cut by many, many years. I've seen it from anywhere from 15 to 22 years that the average police officer's life expectancy is cut short. I saw one study that said that 66 is the age that most police officers pass away at.
Because of
just the job,
the stress, the trauma,
the alcoholism, the divorce rates,
just beating up your body.
Everything adds up, and those are the statistics that are out there. Like I said, I didn't want to give specific numbers, because depending on what study you look at, but I can tell you that the profession of first responders, it's proven that all those rates are higher, and it's something that we're trying to, through this effort, we're trying to minimize that.
And it's helping.
I believe it's helping
a
lot.
It's helping.
I think
it's helping a lot.
Yeah, the stigma's not there. I don't believe it is. Maybe for the individual officer, it might be not knowing when they should get the help. And what I'm trying to say by that is the stigma is not there. Sometimes maybe this will be clearer. I'll have one of the sergeants will come in,
right,
and I'll be like, hey, and he may bring it to my attention, or she may bring it to my attention. Hey, they were just on this call was a little bit more than, you know, we just want to check on that officer because of what they experienced on that call. And you know, again, I'm inside, so I cherish that relationship with those supervisors, that they could come to me, and then, but by doing that, it's more, hey, we got to reach out to Lieutenant Gunter. And now we have the team, and it's more or less, we've done that before, where it's like, before we leave today, we got to make sure this person's okay. That's what I mean by the stigma. It's not like we just walk away, they'll be okay, or we just want to make sure before we leave that someone, or we'll contact a lieutenant and be like, hey, I'm going to reach out to him, don't worry about it, or he or she. So that's changed. That wasn't there.
No.
That wasn't there before, many years ago, you know. So.
Do you find that I found this because I know people who are like this, somebody who's like really overly cheery has really got some stuff going on?
Overly cheery?
Somebody who's like really, so I saw this movie where these two guys used to go to the soccer game all the time, like it was in England or London, wherever they played soccer. They used to go to a soccer game all the time, and one was like always like, you know, oh yeah, they got a goal, whatever, and the other one was like super cheery. So it showed them going to these games all the time, and then they were at a last game, and one of them had a scarf on, and he took it from the cheery guy, and he said, oh, here's your scarf back. He said, no, you keep it, you keep it. The next day, this guy's not there anymore. And the other guy took the scarf off and laid it over the seat and took his hat off and just like did a little moment of silence. Like the cheery people, the more outgoing. Some people generally like that, you know, like me, whatever.
Yeah, I think more I see what
like
you're saying.
Like they try to hide something.
Yeah.
They're hiding something.
I think that
you know
for
they're
us,
hiding something.
For us, I think that we get to know each other pretty well. We're in the same shift all year long. You work
been
the same
together
shift
forever.
Yeah. So I think that you can tell, because that's when we normally start flagging, and we'll start talking to each other where someone isn't acting normal. So they instead of them being what they normally were, they're over cheerily.
Like their demeanor has changed.
Yeah. So if somebody's not acting like they normally do, like they'll be at roll call and
very withdrawn.
They'll
or
be
something.
by themselves in the corner over there, withdrawn and not participating, not saying anything. Because normally at roll call, everybody's chatting. The shifts are switching. One shift's they're getting ready to leave for the day, so they're normally more chattier than the people coming in to start their shift.
Yeah.
So, but there's always some chatter back and forth and talking about any calls that may be, you know, the officers talk. So so they get to know how each other, you know, acts normally. So if an officer or a dispatcher or, you know, is acting different, and it happens more and more, then that will cause
trigger something
a call,
in you too.
A call, and somebody will start talking about
I've called him in the past.
Oh yeah.
Working with someone, and
they're just different.
Yeah.
the flags were going up.
Yeah. Hey, can you reach out to so and so, and you know, and it winds up that they are going through something.
Yeah.
You know, and
like if Karen skipped Disney for a year, you'd know
something's
up,
wrong.
Right?
Yeah, we would definitely know something.
We know something's wrong.
You know something's wrong. I love picking on you. You know I love you.
Thanks, Nance.
And back to the mental wellness thing, I know that the city and the department also received a couple other federal grants. I don't want to get in too much into it, but I know that they're working with the police department to get some clinicians on board. They've already got one started, and he's kind of like looking at everything and seeing what's the best approach of attack.
Yeah.
And then eventually we're going to actually have a co-response from some clinicians on these mental health calls to try to help out the citizens with the issues as well as our officers.
Yeah.
And we're really looking forward to working with that program.
So getting back to, thank you.
Yes.
Getting back to the question I asked you, I forgot what it was. It's an age thing, I'm sorry. Before I went on to something else. Why did you join this team?
I wanted to help.
Great question.
Yeah.
Because there just wasn't enough when, in the younger times, when I first got onto the department, just seemed like nobody cared. And we definitely need this. And I was on him for a while, like, we need to do something to help people out, to help these guys out. It's just, we see way too much.
Same with you, Karen.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't be taking it home.
No, of course not. My stomach keeps growling. And so, are there anyone oh my God, I'm like,
On
who's
my
in my mind?
shift?
On your shift that
Yes,
is
I
on
believe
this team.
Officer
Yes.
Suarez.
Yeah.
Suarez.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a great
Manny?
officer.
Yep.
Manny, yep.
Yes, we've had him. We had him on the show.
Yeah, I remember him.
No, just we do have him on our shift, so that's a great resource. But
Yeah.
the other thing too is that the highlight of so I work, as you mentioned, late nights, right? So,
Yeah, lucky you.
And I work with some outstanding men and women on that
Yeah.
shift, so it's a great shift, but the hours are tough.
Well, they're all outstanding on all
Oh,
shifts.
no, all the shifts, but I'm just talking about my shift in general, right?
Yeah.
Because of the hours, that's what I was
Right,
getting to,
right.
right? So, but the highlight of it is, and he might not know this, or although I may have told him this before,
Yeah.
is that at 7 a.m., I have a visitor that comes into my office just to talk to me, and it's Lieutenant Gunther. He's got his coffee or his protein shake with him. Like, excuse me, usually it's protein shake, right?
Mm-hmm.
And or he'll tell me the newest protein cookies to try out and whatnot. But anyways, aside from that, it is nice when I'm looking at the clock and I'd be like, the lieutenant will be in, Jim will be in here shortly anyways. But he's just a great resource.
He's an inspiration, yeah.
And he's given me the tapes, the people, the motivational speakers. I never thought I would sit there for hours and listen to some of these motivational speakers that are on these podcasts that he's referred me to. He knows that.
Yeah.
Anyways, he'll be like, hey, try this guy out, or you got to listen to this show. And I'm like,
You're
I
really
can't-
into him now?
I can't believe this. I would have never thought I'd be doing that.
Oh,
but
God.
the
The
people,
Tony Robbins of the police department.
yeah, no, but
Yeah,
I mean,
he kind of gives us quotes.
Quotes of the day. Yeah.
Quotes
Yeah.
of the
Nothing wrong with
days.
that, but
so it makes your day.
Yeah.
It's
it enlightens your day. It makes,
Exactly.
yeah.
Like I said, Nancy, we're just try to make your environment
Trying to make it better.
Yeah,
Oh, of
no matter
course,
where you're
yeah.
at, if you can try to, and it's not easy every day. It's not.
Guess we're getting a 1-minute warning.
I think so,
They're
yeah.
flagging me from behind you and then over there. I want to thank you all very, very much. Thanks for making me cry, Christine. Appreciate
Sorry.
that.
We should have brought tissues for
I'll
you.
get over it. I wanted some here, but thank you very, very much. And I hope this team, this group, helps all of your officers, because I don't want an officer on the streets who's not well
Yep.
mentally.
Absolutely.
And, especially you, but you're a little crazy anyways. But thank you again very much. And thank you for joining us on Behind the Blue Lens, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.